welcome back to Tarot Thursdays. So this week's theme is love and relationships. Who is not interested in that? So we're gonna have a general advice card, which is really something that applies to us all, a collective lesson, if you will, something that unites us in our journeys. And then we're going to have a card for each astrological sun sign. If you prefer to apply this to your North Node sign, listen to both. And it's going to go from Aries to Pisces as usual in order. And I hope you enjoy and let me know your insights and what resonates. And let's go. General advice card for all the signs. Wah, wah, wah. We got the disappointment card. Never fun. But what's a love relationship without a little disappointment? Dishonest. No, I mean, it's normal that when we are in partnership, our partners are not simply robots that are artificially designed to please us at every turn, fulfill our every wish, validate us in every way. That sounds more like an enabler. So disappointment is bound to come up at some point. Sometimes we're disappointed in ourselves. Sometimes we're disappointed in the projected changes that we want to see in our partner that we're not seeing. So I would say this is two-tiered. The first thing is that when there's disappointment, there is expectation. So if you find yourself disappointed in your partner or potential partner or lovers or exes progress, it means they failed to fulfill your perceived expectations for them. Expectations by nature of their definition are projections. They are intangible visions of what could be, what maybe is, but what is not currently. So we often go into relationships or continue relationships under the guise of, well, I hope that they're going to change on this front. I hope that they're going to turn into what I want and expect of them at some point or another. And we hold out hope for that. And when they do not conform to the mold we've created for them, we are disappointed. It's a dangerous game. Yes, I believe we evolve in relationships, and I think that we help each other to grow in a healthy relationship, but chances are you'll get more transformation as an individual and as a couple when you radically accept the person as they are, and when you accept yourself as you are without projecting too far into the future of what could be or should be. Radical acceptance breeds authentic love and respect, and then from that place, true transformation can occur. It is less likely to happen if you are putting a condition on your love for the person and saying, well, you know, when you change in this way, then I'll be able to love you. Assume that they won't change. Accept them for who they are today and what they say that they are, and continue from that place. If the relationship doesn't work, it wasn't meant to work. And if it does continue to evolve in the direction that you'd like to see, then what a bonus. The second way that I want to look at this card is a healer of mine recently told me that I was disappointed about the future. Sometimes our disappointment in love has to do with our projection into time and space. So we anticipate that we could be disappointed or disappointments to the other person. It has less to do with what's happening currently and more to do with, well, what if I don't turn into what I think they want, or, you know, they don't fulfill all these promises or dreams that I have. If we are looking to them to fulfill a lack inside of us, then we are going to continue to project that lack into the future. And this is being disappointed about the future. It hasn't happened yet, but we're already anticipating our failure, our resentment, our anger. How do we counteract this and stay true to ourselves while not having this doom outlook? The best thing you can do is be empowered in following through on your goals and not waiting for someone to make them happen for you. So if you continually are blaming partners or lovers or exes because they didn't give you the lifestyle that you wanted, create that lifestyle for yourself. Take the disappointment off of them. Take responsibility for creating the life that you want. And as you make your choices to pursue your dreams and be your authentic self, if they align with that path, then great. And if they don't, then you will naturally part ways because you're already be heading where you're meant to go without relying on them to take you there or accompany you there. If they're meant to join you, they will. Aries, you have the Chariot card. And it's astrologically represented by Cancer, which is a nice card to have when discussing relationships. You know, it's related to the home and domesticity and commitment and loyalty, devotion to your loved ones, all beautiful characteristics of a relationship. This guy, this knight, this could be a gal in an armor, has got a crab on their head. And that crab, again, is reminiscent of the Cancer sign. And so there's this real sense of priority in building this safe haven for the relationship. There's this craving on your part to have a home, build a home, share a home with somebody, have someone fit into your idea of what a healthy, happy home is for you. So there's a real connection here between your domestic life and how you envision a relationship fitting into that. Your guides are telling you that definitely commitment is in the orbit of the right relationship for you. This is not really a time to be just playing the field and experimenting. That being said, this Chariot is not moving forward. There are no front wheels, there's only back wheels, and the knight is sitting in lotus in a meditation position. And the knight is looking inwards and trying to find balance and wisdom and integrity and know that it's following the right path and looking for answers within, which is great. Everyone knows I advise meditation, but can we meditate too long? Yes, sometimes we can spend too long on the sidelines waiting to feel certain before we make a move, take a leap, or experiment. So I'm bringing that up in relation to what I was talking about with dating is you might not be meant to be a playa right now, but I feel very 90s saying that, but it's okay. But just because you're not playing around doesn't mean you shouldn't be dating, because dating is a fast track to a real relationship. And the sooner you get out there and start experimenting and allowing other people to affect you and having an honest engagement with potential love interests, then you are going to more quickly tune into what might be the suitable match for your commitment. If you are already in a relationship, this is a time to get quiet within yourself and look at the home that you're creating together and not put that on the other person, not say like, what can you do better? Like pick up your socks off the ground, but look at how you can create the home you want for yourself. And once you've done it for yourself and find that quiet place within, your partner will likely fall in line with that vision much sooner. Don't you love when serendipities happen, when Taurus shows up on the card for Taurus. So we have the worry card for the Taurus love card. And astrologically, this is represented by Mercury in Taurus. And this is a discs card. And discs is about the earth and material, our home, our belongings, our finances, our security and stability. And your foundations are causing you some anxiety, and I think that some kind of financial stress might be weaving its way into your relationship. Is there something that's kind of been going unspoken between you, a partner, a lover, a potential lover, that is making you uncomfortable with the economic dynamics between the two of you? On a fundamental level, it's not about being superficial when we think about the financial situation of our partners. There's our sense of security and stability is at play. That being said, worrying about it is going to create more of the same. And when I say more the same, I mean poverty consciousness, where we feel like nothing is enough, because you can actually have a lot of money in the bank and you can actually be doing everything you can to be proactive about your finances and still worry. You can, on the other hand, not have that certainty, still be doing whatever you can and not worry, and that's much preferable, right? So don't tire yourself out by trying to project too far into the future. But if there is something to be said to a love interest about your concerns regarding their financial situation, yours or yours together and combined, then do bring that up and give them a chance to respond. Don't allow yourself to grow resentful about their perceived lack of concern about this. You can't always expect people to be psychic and to know how you're feeling or to consider your needs with the same level of importance as you would consider them. So if there's something to be said, you might have to go through the uncomfortable act of bringing it up, even if you don't know how they're going to solve it. That's on them. You know, that's codependence, when we try to anticipate what someone will do when we say something, how they're going to react, and so then I should say this based on what they're going to. No, don't play psychic. That's my job. Just state what the truth is for you and give them a chance to respond honestly. Okay, for Gemini, we have the Works card. So you gotta put a little blood, sweat, and tears into your relationship investment. En français, on dit, ce n'est pas tout donné. We can't expect everything just to be given to us and handed to us on a silver platter. You are spontaneous, you like to change your mind, you are playful, and you like to go from one thing to the next, and you like to be excited and stimulated, and that is great, Gemini, but sometimes you do need to invest in order for something to grow and to build. So if you are just kind of expecting strong committed relationship to fall into your lap or just to like work on its own accord, understand that you get what you put in. So the same way you might apply yourself to a creative project or work endeavor, look at a relationship in the same way. It requires some project management, it requires learning and training and communication and team building and troubleshooting. We have the Mars in Capricorn here astrologically, and Capricorn is very practical. And this is the Three of Discs. So we have this trinity, an earthy trinity of very grounded energies. And Capricorn likes structure and going step by step. Mars wants to get things done and be action oriented. So this is not the time to be romantically waiting to be swept off your feet, and that, you know, you're just going to wave your wand and someone will become your ideal partner. How can you actually take concrete action to either find the right relationship, maybe by going on dating apps, putting some energy into your profile, doing the work, going on dates like as if you're interviewing for a job, you know, taking that seriously, or else if you're in a relationship and something's kind of out of balance, do something about it. Like if you're feeling like disconnected, you know, don't wait to be swept off your feet. Plan a trip for the weekend that's just the two of you. Treat it like you would a project that is just for you. And I guess for you, that's part of commitment, right? Commitment is I am going to offer myself and my energies to make something work rather than expecting it to come to me, or being invested when it suits me and backing away when it no longer does. Relationships actually get better with time and the energies we put into them. So there can be a temptation to be lazy, but your joys will be limited by how much you're offering yourself up to the relationship. So don't be afraid to invest, because that's where you'll get the payoff that your soul really craves. Cancer. This card is a little more metaphorical. This is the art card, and it's really about an alchemy of opposites. So we have masculine and feminine, light and dark, fire and water energies being combined, being interwoven and exchanged. So look, I like to see this card in this situation as kind of like a do-si-do dance, where you're kind of like, you're switching sides. Let's say you're in a relationship, you're swinging each other in this kind of circular motion on opposite ends of the spectrum. What I'm saying is that if you tend to play a certain role, let's say that's about initiating sex, or who does certain things around the house, or who tends to be the positive, uplifting one, and who tends to be the complainer or the sulker. Look at what your roles tend to be and see, can you switch it up and mix up who's wearing what hat. It's really good for taking a relationship out of a stagnant place and keeping it fresh and dynamic and malleable. If you're single, play around with this idea of masculine and feminine. How have you gotten stuck in an archetype of how you picture your gendered role or your perceived identity in dating? Can you play around with those definitions for yourself and try on a new persona? Literally, sometimes a costume, wearing a different kind of clothing that will help you inhabit a different role for yourself. So this is really about freeing us up from the identities we've constructed for ourselves and the role we think we have to play. We can switch relationships 10 times and always end up playing the same role or replaying the same dynamic, and it's really suffocating. And sometimes if you want a different result, you just have to do something different, and it'll feel unnatural and it'll feel awkward. But try a different incentive, try a different initiative, try a different method to relating. Just operate from a different starting point and you will get an unexpected outcome, which is really preferable to replaying the same tape over and over and kind of getting stuck in our groove or our mechanism. So if you tend to be the nurturer and the protector and you're craving a sense of adventure, don't wait for someone else to create that for you. Take the lead and challenge the way you show up as a caretaker, and perhaps show up instead as an adventurer or an initiator of activities, or even socially, mixing with your partner or your lover's friends, opening yourself up to the outside world and just kind of switching it up a little bit. Leo, we have the art card again, same one as Cancer. So this is the alchemy of opposites, integrating contrary forces and elements in ourselves. And this is the way I see it. If you're in a relationship and there's an apparent conflict or a recurring pattern, look at the way that you would typically respond to the situation and try its opposite. I was hearing somewhere today that sometimes our medicine in an area where we feel weak or inadequate or stuck or stagnant is really to take the opposite element. It's kind of like Ayurveda. If you're too kapha, you need more pitta or you need more vata. If you tend to respond in a relationship dynamic with a passive or pleasing persona, lean into the opposite. Be confrontational, be direct, be assertive and transparent. If, on the contrary, you tend to sulk and retreat into your own bubble, open yourself, offer the conversation, be generous, ask the other person how they're feeling, to open your mind to their perspective rather than kind of pull them towards yours. Sometimes we do need a different action to bring around a different result. Sometimes it's not just enough to understand conceptually, oh yes, I'm playing out this pattern. If you find yourself stuck in a dynamic, you either need to try out something different externally, like literally try a different approach of behavior, of communication, a tangible approach, or you plan your escape. You strategize about a maneuver to create a different reality of yourself. But either way, you don't stay committed to what you're doing that's not working for you. So if you're single, what this can look like is dating out of type, trying to meet someone that has a different set of characteristics than you're normally attracted to. Get over your idea of what your ideal partner looks like. Try out something completely different than your previous exes. You need to sometimes play around with the ingredients and try out different flavors before we can get a different vision of what our relationship can be. It's really important to keep your mind broad and open about different possibilities for a relationship and not get stuck in what you've known from the past. Okay, Virgo, we have a really beautiful card for you and your relationship Tarotscope. So Ace of Cups, look at that brilliant rainbow, that phantasmagoria of erupting color from this holy grail like cup and the lotus flower that contains it. This is in the cups suit, as the grail implies, and cups is really the source of water, but are also our heart center. So something is kind of cracked open in you and you're accessing more of a range of feeling than you might have known you were capable of. You're either feeling more in your relationship and understanding layers of your care or affection or a vision of what the relationship can be than you previously thought possible, or else you're looking for a future relationship or a potential one with a sense of, oh wow, look at this emotional wealth that I have to contribute to a relationship that I didn't really know I could deliver on. Because I know you might identify yourself as someone that's more rational and calculating, but there's a rebirth of sensitivity described here, and it's a pleasurable one. Yes, we can experience more pain once we open our hearts, but we also experience radically more pleasure. And this is an exciting rebirth for you where your conception of what a relationship and shared love can be is really broadening, and it feels very rich and embracing. So you're either in a new relationship or you're entering a new phase in an existing relationship, or you have a totally new outlook on a relationship and what you want from it, but you're in some kind of emotional renaissance when it comes to love. And that could just be a matter of your own readiness for feeling and letting someone in. Our ability to give love is mirrored by our ability to receive it. And it's a two-way portal. And if the portal is closed or too narrow, we're limiting our ability to connect. So your vulnerability is an asset to your passion and to the fulfillment that you will get from connecting with another person. Don't be afraid of new feelings that might be popping up. There's information coded in that are going to spell out a recipe for success, not just in the relationship, but how your relationship intersects with the rest of your life, like your work, your family, your home. It wants to be knitted together in this seamless way, and that can only happen when you really open your heart and let the relationship affect you and let it be important to you. Libra, we have Mercury in Cancer with the abundance card. So 3 of Cups, 3, 6, 9 in my eyes are abundance numbers, and that is the case here. Those cups are overflowing and creating this endless flow of emotion and feeling and tenderness and affection. It also implies 3-way relationships, and I don't mean this literally like a ménage à trois, although maybe, but it usually speaks to a trifecta of 2 people that you're close to, and it's very possible that these are friendships. So if you're I don't know why I keep saying signal. If you're single, take this as a signal to look at your friendships for clues on what you're looking for in a potential partner. Is there a romantic or love interest camouflaged in a relationship? Do you see examples of relationships amongst your friends that you would like to replicate or embody aspects of those? And if you're in a couple, look at not only how you are friends with one another, but look at how each of you and your partner, relate to someone else that's very close to you. So like, let's say each of you have a best friend. What does that best friend bring out in each of you? And how can that be a trait that you embody more into your relationship? How can you reach that side that the friend does? So what happens here is we're connecting with that renewing resource that is love and mutual support and affection between really close friends. There's an unconditionality, at least a real enduring support that happens between very close friends that sometimes we need to bring into our romantic relationships as well. You know, at times we look at our partner and we kind of demand for them to meet our needs, whereas with a friend we just expect that we should always be there for them and they should be there for us. And that feeling of I will be supported no matter what, and I will care for my friend no matter what, why not bring that into your approach to love? Whether you're single, dating, or in a marriage, a long-term marriage, let's not forget that we are friends first and build our love around that and really like work on the same team to create this kind of regenerative flow, the feeling of abundance that we get when we know we have each other's backs. And that's really beautiful, no matter what happens. This one's always a mouthful. Satiety, being satiated, Scorpio. How do we know when enough is enough? 10 of Cups, 10, the end of a cycle. Are you enough yet? Or do you feel like you have to work harder, unearth more sides of yourself, dig deeper, improve a little more, get over an ex, overcome jealousy, overcome resentments, come out of hiding? These Scorpio-esque themes that are perhaps being used as a justification not to engage, not to open your heart, not to risk getting hurt. When is enough going to be enough? When are you going to feel like you're enough for love and for somebody else? It's good to work on ourselves, and it's good to come into a relationship with a conscience and to take responsibility for our part in things, but we don't want to sit on the sidelines too long and avoid connection and contact and deep intimacy because we don't feel like we're ready to love or to lose. So your guides are signaling to you you're enough as you are. Doesn't mean you don't have anywhere to grow or improve upon. We all do. That's actually the point of relationships, is that they help us grow. If you find the right kind of partner, then they will bring that growth out of you, and they will take that road with you, and you will bring out the best in them and help them evolve and move forward. So there's no such thing as enough without a sense of abundance. When we are brimming over, when we are extraordinary and grateful and in love with ourselves, that feels like enough. If we're just good enough, that doesn't feel like enough. So to be satiated is to really be in this state of abundance and plenitude. Can you look at yourself, at all the work that you've done as an individual, and realize that you do have so much to give, and it's also okay to allow yourself to receive, for there to be this exchange, and to not only be accepted, but to accept the other in this kind of mutual you are enoughness. Stop seeing yourself as this fixer-upper. You do not need to defer your enjoyment or your contentment for a later time when you're more perfect or more improved. At some point, we have to say, this is who I am. This is where I am now. I'm not going to expect it to change. From this point on, I'm going to love and accept myself completely as I am. And if you want me with who I am today, come and get me. And if you don't, you're probably not right for me anyway. Trust that you're enough. Go directly for the love. If it's meant to work out, it will. Sagittarius. We have the Hermit card. Most of us knows what Hermit means. This is a time for you to be a little reclusive, a little solitary, thinking, waiting, planning, strategizing, fixing, putting things in place, putting things in order, cleaning house, making space, decluttering, being minimalist. You are in a preparatory work phase. Now, even if you're in a relationship, this applies. There are times in our relationship when we are meant to be outward, to seduce, to entertain, to explore together. And there are other times that we need to retreat, even when we're in a partnership, to work on ourselves both interiorly, I don't know if you can say that, domestically, economically. We need focused time sometimes. I'm thinking of Bill Gates, that when he was married, he would leave, I think, every month to go to a cabin and work on some things by himself. Virgo, right? Virgo is ruling this card, and it values alone time. It needs that kind of separation so that it's not always in service of the other. So you're building richness. There's all these chaffs. Oh my gosh, there's all these wheat chaffs. I don't know. I don't know that word right now. That are in the background. And that wheat is a symbolism of the bounty that is coming to you by doing this preparatory work. So you're working the fields, you're planting the seeds and you're watering them and things are flowering and things are budding, but it's not time to cultivate yet. It's not time to make the harvest. So be patient. This preparatory work you're doing is going to nourish your future partnership or your existing partnership. You are like this hermit figure holding up the lantern, looking for a good soul to match your own. The work you're doing is making you into the kind of person that you're looking for. This applies again if you're with somebody. What we ask of the other person is often an area where we could also work on things a little bit and integrate the things that we're seeking from the other person. So while you're looking for this right person for you, you're also transforming into that kind of person, though, the one that you want to be and be with. And it's a very worthwhile endeavor. It might feel a little quiet and uneventful right now, but it's very magical, this gestation time, and in the future you'll look back and realize that when you're in your destined partnership, this is exactly what you needed to get there, and you probably couldn't have gotten there without this preparatory route. Dearest Capricorn, your love Tarotscope card is the Prince of Swords. Swords is about the intellect and our rational abilities, and look at the way this sword is cutting through these attachments in the form of these smaller figures on the bottom. Your mind is very astute right now about perceiving any limiting roles that you've assigned yourself, or even just patterning in terms of how you interface with a romantic partner. You're really sharp right now about cutting through the bullshit of those old dynamics, and you're seeing right through the nature of all the people you're encountering, potential partners, potential flirtations, existing partnerships. It's like your bullshit detector is really finely tuned and you can rely on your thoughts. Sometimes we have a distrust with the mind, but right now your mind is the one that is tuned into your intuition and guiding you towards the right action. So if you just have an assessment of somebody and you think they're this way and they're not right for me because of this reason, you're probably right. Sometimes our minds are correct. It's not always a matter of projection and interference from our ego. Our minds cause us more problems when we distrust them, actually. So this is an act of self-liberation that you're experiencing, where you're learning that you can rely on your assessment of things and your ability to interpret energies and information. And this will help guide you towards either the right partnership or the right way to interact in a partnership. So this is not a time to back down from your convictions. You're not stuck in an old way of thinking. Right now, you are actually separating from old habits and opinions that kept you bound to the past. And you're cutting away these masks and these entanglements, and you're finding that you have a lot more freedom than you realized. This will give you flexibility in dating and in a partnership, because you don't feel as confined to the previous options that you felt that you had. So when you're meeting someone or dating, or when you're in a conversation with your partner, if you have this immediate flash, like, this is what this person is about, or this is how they're feeling with me, or I'm not liking this, or I want to say this, take the leap and communicate or take an action based on the thought. Follow with a certain swiftness on your intellectual perception of things, and you will get a much more honest and maybe exciting result from the other person by really committing to your thoughts and following through on them. Aquarius. You can tell I just watched the Biggie documentary. Indolence. It's a tough one. It's a call to arms. So, indolence, what does this mean in the context of relationship? Well, it almost always comes up with respect to relationships when I do tarot readings. So, we have the Eight of Cups and we have Saturn in Pisces. Pisces doesn't love Saturn's limiting influence. Pisces wants to flow and be spontaneous and dreamy and sometimes live in the world of illusion or escapism. And Saturn comes in like a big stern father and says, no, there are limits, there's maturity, we need to give structure to things, be an adult. You can't just float through life. And so Pisces here meets the consequences of living in a state of illusion. How does this apply to love and relationships? Well, what are you not willing to see in your dating, in your relationship, in love? Are you just burying your head in the sand and hiding behind an illusion just to keep the status quo going? You are choosing something that's comfortable and easy. Maybe you're avoiding a confrontation, maybe you're avoiding a change, maybe you're avoiding being alone, maybe you're not speaking your mind honestly because it feels better just to be watery and not have to make a big deal and not have to make a decision. Well, no sirree Bob, you're not allowed to do that in this case. Otherwise things get murky and swampy and doomy. So what is the antidote to this? Being radically honest with yourself, or radically honest with your partner or potential partner or a lover, and don't go backwards. If you're single and you're dating and you're considering going back to an ex or a previous lover, do not do that. This is like romantic laziness. If it didn't work, it's probably not gonna work. And it's just, you're unwilling to try a different approach, a different angle, get a different result. Maybe it's easier to go for losers, and excuse the term, it's not nice to say that, but for the sake of argument, it's easier to go for someone that's dragging their feet a little bit, because then you don't have to look at yourself and see where maybe you're underperforming in your life and you're not showing up as your most full authentic self. So don't accept less from a potential partner or an existing partner than you really feel that you deserve. And on that same note, do not show up as a less embodied and activated version of yourself. Let's get out of our adolescent sweatpants, get off the sofa, and get proactive and get assertive and get with reality. Another sad one. Pisces. We have a defeat. It's a fear. It's not really necessarily happening, but the fear is there. So this is the Swords card. When we see those swords exerting pressure on each other, that's the pressure of our thoughts working against each other, working themselves into a little corner. And look at them buckling under the pressure. One of the swords is even cracking a bit. So your thoughts are in battle with each other. That's actually happening a lot more intellectually and projecting into the future, into the past, what you think the person's feeling, what they're actually feeling, what could happen, what could go wrong, what could go right, what should I do? Your thoughts are the source of conflict and suffering more than the external reality is actually a problem. So mentally you're tangled up and it feels like you've already failed, but you're not even playing the game anymore. You might have pulled yourself out of the game and out of the ring because you're like, well, this is just not going to work anyway. So why even bother caring, investing, being vulnerable, trying to enjoy, trying to hope for success? So there's like a throwing in of the towel before you've really given it your all. Another thing my healer once told me is that I was afraid to give up before I tried. I'm a Pisces, so I'm talking to myself. Don't be afraid to give up before you try. Don't admit defeat so that you don't have to feel the pain of losing. It's just like when someone pulls themselves out of the race because they think they might not be number one, and they're like, well, I don't want to look silly, so I'm just going to pretend I twisted my ankle. No, risk coming third or last, or risk winning it all, but don't take yourself out of the race because you think you know this is going to way that it's going to go, and it's going to go against you. If you're single, this could be manifesting as a kind of apathy where you're like, I don't really need anyone, like I don't really care, that person I was interested in, they didn't call me, no biggie, I'm just not going to get too involved. If I don't try, then I didn't fail. On the contrary, we fail when we don't try, when we don't get involved, when we don't invest ourselves, because nothing is really possible without bringing something to the table. We can't receive what we're not willing to give. If you are in a relationship, look at how you're projecting disappointment onto your partner. Like, do you just assume they're going to leave you empty-handed and cold in the dark and rejected and denied and dissatisfied, and you're using that as an excuse not to give to them, to withhold affection and love because, well, you're going to disappoint me, so I'm going to disappoint you first? Don't do that. Don't do that. Hope for the best, assume the best, lead with your best, expect the best, and you might just actually get the best. So this is no time for cynical doomsday projections. Rose-colored glasses, back on, Pisces, just the way you like it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments what spoke to you, if this makes sense, and I look forward to seeing you next week, although I'll probably be posting before then. Share with your friends, subscribe, sign up for my mailing list on my website, book a tarot reading with me. There's so many ways that you can get more Tour de Sol into your life. So TDS it up, and I'm here if you have any questions, and talk to you soon.